went there on the first day and I found out that we were going to do the fire ceremony that night. So it's really Tony Robbins style. It's not like, okay, let's do this gently in a loving manner. No. It's like, boom, you're doing it. If we can do this and we can walk on fire, what else can we do if we put our minds in the right state? What else can we create? Who else can we be? What else can we achieve physically? This is very important to always have expanders who are doing or have the thing that you want to do or the thing that you want to have, because that tells your subconscious mind, they are doing it. So I'm going to be able to do it as well. Welcome to Blisstopia podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Castellani, life purpose coach, business owner, and your spiritual guide on all things mindset, manifestation, and purpose. This podcast is a space for deep reflections, meaningful conversations to help you expand your mind, dive into the depths of your soul, and create a life that makes you feel alive. Whether you're walking, driving, or simply vibing, take a deep breath and get ready to dive. Hello, my love. Welcome to another episode of Blisstopia podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Castellani, and today we're talking about the part 2 of the Tony Robbins event, the firewalk ceremony that we had, and all of the key takeaways that I had from this event. First, let me share with you the firewalk experience. Oh my God. Okay, we need to talk about this. This was on the first day. So the event had 4 days, as you know. And the firewalk experience was on the first night, the end of the first day. And before I went into the event, the night before the event, I think I was quite nervous about the fire thingy. I was like, am I going to be able to walk on fire? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to burn myself? Is this possible? I had all of these doubts about whether it was possible, about whether it was possible for me to do it, about whether the anxiety, am I going to be okay? What if I get blisters? What if I have an issue? I burn myself and I don't know, end up in hospital. Didn't think about the hospital, but I think I was thinking, what if something happens and I have something on my feet because you're walking on fire? So I was really nervous. On the first day, I was supposed to wake up at 7 a.m. I think in the end, I woke up at 4:30 because I was like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. Let's see what happens. So we went there on the first day and I found out that we were going to do the fire ceremony that night. So it's really Tony Robbins style. It's not like, okay, let's do this gently in a loving manner. No. It's like, boom, you're doing it. So first, during the whole day, I was, as I said, I had a lot of doubts. I had anxiety. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it. But well, we did the whole thing. We learned everything that we needed to learn. And then basically the way it works is that you do a very long hypnosis. So you do a 1-hour hypnosis. So a hypnosis, if you don't know what it is, it's like a meditation, but basically you allow the other person to reprogram your subconscious mind with something, with a message. In this case, the message for my subconscious mind was, of course, I'm going to be able to walk on fire. I was born to be able to walk on fire. I'm excited to walk on fire. So those were the messages that he put in our mind, basically, during the hypnosis. So you do a 1-hour hypnosis. You rewire your subconscious mind to be able to do that for 1 hour. Then for half an hour, he explains you what to do, what not to do, kind of like the common mistakes that people do. For example, I was wondering, shall we run so it's fast? Shall we walk slow? And he was like, no. You need to work at a normal pace, like a determined pace, like you know where you're going, but don't run, because if you run, you might fall and then you're going to touch the hot coal. So it's actually not fire, what you're walking on. It's actually the hot coal, the hot wood after they make the fire. So they make the fire, you have the hot wood, hot coal, I don't know what they use for the fire. And then basically you're walking on the ashes, the hot ashes. So they prepare you with the hypnosis to be able to do that. Then for half an hour, they explain what you need to do, the common mistakes, all of the steps. And basically, the way it works is when you see the ashes, when it's your time to walk through the ashes, what you do is you put yourself in a high state. You decide that you're going to be in a high state in order to do this. You want to look up. I thought this was very interesting. You need to look up because when you look up for your brain, it puts your brain in an imaginative state. So your brain is imagining things. If you look down, your brain is in emotional state, feeling the things. And you certainly don't want to feel what is going on. So you put yourself in a high state, you look up as you walk, you start walking at this direct, determined pace. And as you walk, you repeat the mantra, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. So basically telling your brain, I'm walking on cool moss. This is cool. It's cold. It's fun. It's cozy. And then when you arrive on the other side, they clean your feet with water to make sure that there's no small pieces of coal or wood stuck in your feet, because that's when you can get burnt. And once they clean your feet with water, then you can celebrate. So that's what we did, basically, a 1 hour hypnosis. Mind you, the whole day we had been in a very, very high state. So you're already in a very good state the whole day. Then you have a 1 hour hypnosis. Then for half an hour, they explain you exactly what to do. And then you walk from your seat with 13 other people. It's a lot of people moving at the same time. Everybody does it at the same time. You walk towards the place where you're going to do this and you're clapping. Yes, 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 yes. So basically you're getting excited, like, yes, yes, I'm going to do this. Yes, yes, yes. And instead of being in your chatter, is it going to work? Is it not going to work, etc.? You're like, yes, yes, yes. You're enjoying that this will happen. You have the certainty that this is going to happen. So there's no doubt anymore. There's certainty. There's no anxiety anymore. There's joy. There's power. There's decision. You will do it. It is happening. So you're celebrating. Yes, yes, yes. So you're like, yes, yes, yes. You walk for a long time. There's a lot of people before you. And basically, when you arrive at the space where you're going to walk on fire, again, you put yourself in a high state. You start walking. You look up. You repeat, colmos, 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 colmos. Cool moss, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. You arrive on the other side. They clean your feet with water and then you celebrate. So that's exactly what you do. That's basically what we did. We were 13 people. And what reassured me was the way I told myself, okay, this is going to be okay. I thought, if they're doing this with 13,000 people, I imagine that they don't want to burn 13,000 people. So if I don't trust myself to be able to walk on fire, I'm going to trust the methodology that it's allowing 13,000 people to actually walk on fire. So that was reassuring. And then the other thing that was reassuring was the vicarious experience of other people. So we could see, as we were going there, we could see all of the people that were coming out of the experience, and they were totally fine. They were walking. They were, in my opinion, super chill. I thought they would be like more in ecstasy, you know, that like they would be more energetic. They were like chilling, walking, kind of like regular state, not even like a nice high state. But hey, they were fine. They were walking. No one was complaining. Everything was okay. So just seeing those people who had done that thing was also giving me proof that this was possible. This is very important, to always have expanders who are doing or have the thing that you want to do or the thing that you want to have, because that tells your subconscious mind, this is, they are doing it, so I'm going to be able to do it as well. So that was the fireworks ceremony. I walked on fire. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any hot sensation on my feet. Nothing. It was like walking on the ground. I didn't feel anything. So crazy. I looked at my feet afterwards. I had nothing, no blisters, no issue whatsoever. And basically, what is happening at a physical level is that when you are in a high energy state, the temperature of your body rises. So the delta between your temperature and the temperature of the ashes is much smaller. Therefore, you don't get burnt because the delta is very small. When you come back to a regular state, your temperature is lower. So there's a higher delta between your temperature and the temperature of the ashes. So that's when you get burnt. Also, the speed at which you walk, it's important. If you were to stay in there, just stay there, you would get burnt. Or if there's a piece of coal, a piece of wood that is attached between your fingers, for example, when as long as you are in the high states, you're not going to feel it. But when you come back into a regular state, that's when you can get burned because your body is not protecting you anymore. Your mind is not protecting you anymore. So basically, I was shocked. I knew the power of hypnosis. I've done a hypnosis training. I've seen people do crazy stuff on hypnosis. But this experience proved to me once more how powerful we truly are, how powerful our minds are to literally shift our physical experience. So if we can do this and we can walk on fire, what else can we do if we put our minds in the right state? What else can we create? Who else can we be? What else can we achieve physically? So it's just adding evidence in my body because now I've done it. So the experience is in my body, in my cells. I have more evidence of how powerful we truly are as humans. So that was just mind blowing. And that was only day one. We still had day 2, 3, and 4. So that was day 1. We walked on fire, crazy shit. And I had to process all of that. So went back home, back to the hotel, and I grabbed a cup of tea because my throat was starting to get a little bit weird because of all the screams and all the singing and all of that. So I grabbed a cup of coffee and I was there with my journal, kind of like digesting all of the things. And that was basically the end of day 1. And that was the firewalk experience. So, oh my God, if you really want to surprise yourself with how strong you are, do not try this at home, but definitely go to a Tony Robbins event. And basically, you can do it. This is called Unleash Your Power, and you can do it live. You can check the next dates and go live, and you walk on fire, or you can do it from your home. Again, it's 4 very intense days. You can only do this 4 days, and what they do is they send you a piece of wood. You are also in this high energy state, and then you break the wood with your hands. So if you really want to be in contact with that super powerful side of you, unleash that side of you, I definitely would recommend trying this. And now I wanted to share from the back of this second episode some of the other messages, ideas, key takeaways that I took from this experience. And the first idea that was really interesting is the idea of an emotional home. So basically what Tony Robbins says is that we tend to live in an emotional home. What is an emotional home? It's basically one emotion where you tend to go over and over and over and over and over again. And no matter what happens on the outside, you live in that home. So you always come back to that emotion. For some people, that emotion can be anger. So no matter what happens on the outside, they're going to get angry. They get angry at their boss. They get angry at other people driving. They get angry at their partner. They get angry at their children. They get angry at work. Always angry. For some other people, it's going to be anxiety. Maybe you get anxious when you're working. Maybe you get anxious with your children. Maybe you get anxious when you're driving. Anything that you do, you always come back to anxiety. For some people, it could be sadness. No matter what happens, they're always back to sadness. If this happens at work, it's so sad. And if this happens with their family, it's so sad. And whatever happens, they're always back to sadness. So I found this idea very interesting. And basically, he was saying, what is your favorite flavor of suffering? Because all of these emotions that we're talking about, whether that's sadness, anxiety, fear, anger, frustration, shame, guilt, can also be an emotional home. All of these can be an emotional home. And all of these emotions are emotions of suffering. And they are kind of like the opposite of all the beautiful states, states of joy, states of love, states of appreciation, states of excitement, wonder. So, my question for you is, what is your favorite form of suffering? What is your emotional home today? That emotion that you're always coming back, and no matter what happens, you're always coming back. Let me be super honest with you. I realized when I was listening to this that if I don't pay attention, my emotional home can be anxiety. And I realized, wait, when I was working, there was always anxiety. When I was studying, there was always anxiety. Then when I was working, there was always anxiety. Then I built my business. And if I don't pay attention, there can be anxiety. And then imagine, like with my partner, for example, we plan to start a family and there's some anxiety around that. Imagine that I fall pregnant. There's going to be anxiety. Imagine that I have children. There's going to be anxiety. And I'm like, oh my God, we definitely need to stop this. So basically, we need an exercise where you move to a new home, basically. You leave that home that you've had up until now that you don't like anymore, and you move to a new home. So in my case, I decided to move from the anxiety neighborhood into the excitement, ecstasy, joy, high energy neighborhood, which is a much nicer neighborhood to live in. If you are someone who experiences anxiety, you know what I mean. It's not a cool thing. And so, yeah, basically, I decided to move from one neighborhood to the other, new home, new life. So, but it was really interesting to think about this concept of the emotional home and to think, you know what, maybe these emotions that I've been feeling up until now that are so common, maybe I don't want to feel them anymore. Enough is enough. So then he talks about how to build an extraordinary life. And what he says is that an extraordinary life, it's a life on your own terms. And I was like, yes, that's so beautifully put, because I'm a person who loves freedom. I invite my clients to really get to know themselves and create lives that are really written, designed in their own terms. So having this definition of an extraordinary life as a life that is on your own terms just hit home. I thought it was really beautiful. And he was saying that every time that we have a goal of the goal is not the goal, but the goal of the goal is to become the person that naturally achieves that goal. So basically what he's saying is that the focus is on the process of becoming that person. The focus is on the journey that we always hear about. But I think the way this was refreshing for me was when he said the goal is to become the person who actually has that kind of thing that you want, who achieves that kind of thing that you want to achieve. So that was really cool. And he said that when we want to have an extraordinary life and we want to be truly happy, there are two things that are essential. And if you don't have them, you're not going to be happy: growth and contribution. So growth is one of the 6 human needs. There are 6. I'm going to explain them all in a second. But basically, he says that growth, the fact that we are improving, in progress, learning, is so important. And then contribution, the fact that we are giving to something bigger than ourselves. Those are the 2 things that really make people truly, truly happy. And you can be successful, but if you have no fulfillment, that's the ultimate failure. So he explains the 6 needs. I'm going to explain them briefly. I explained this on the newsletter because I thought it was useful for everybody. So the 6 needs are certainty, uncertainty or variety, significance, love and connection, growth and contribution. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes that I did as a summary for you guys. So certainty is basically the need for things to be predictable, the need to know that you have a roof, that you have food, that all of your needs are met. It's the need for regularity, continuity, predictability. So we all have these needs. We all have these needs. We all have all of them, but in different degrees. There's one that is usually the most important one, but we all have all six of them. The second need is the need for uncertainty or variety. If everything is predictable and so regular and so steady, we get bored as fuck. So we need variety. Now, depending on the person, of course, some people need more certainty, some people need more variety. I know that my two biggest needs are uncertainty, variety, and contribution. So I need to be changing things all the time. I need to be changing the sports that I do. I need to be changing the food I eat. I need to be changing the time schedules. I need to be changing what I eat. I need to be changing sex. I need to be changing the whole thing. Otherwise, I get bored. Then the third one is significance. Significance is that you want to feel important. You want to feel like you matter, and you want to feel this can take two ways. Basically, some people will look for status, so they feel important, and some people want to be different. So imagine a punk person with pink hair, and imagine a person with a suit and a Rolex. These two very different people, they both have the same need to be significant, to be important or different. Then we all have the need for love and connection. And of course, this is not only with a romantic partner, but just love and connection with friends, love and connection with our work, love and connection with the place, with our neighbors. We need love and connection. We are human beings. The sixth one is growth. So we need to be always growing, always learning, always developing ourselves. And what the human needs is progress, to see that things are getting better, even making small progress after small progress after small progress is actually going to allow this sense of growth. And the last one, number 6, is contribution. So basically, contribution is when you're, as I said, giving to something bigger than you, and you kind of like go beyond yourself to do something that is more important than just you. So to me, what he calls contribution, I call it purpose, because to me, that's the way I understand purpose. It's doing something that is bigger than you, doing something that contributes to a better world, that contributes to your vision for the planet. So what he calls contribution, I call it purpose. So he says that there's these 6 needs. 4 of them are primal survival needs. So certainty, variety, significance, love, and connection are primal needs, survival needs. And then you have 2 spiritual needs, which are growth and contribution. And it's really funny because those are the 2 needs that I help my clients with. I help my clients grow professionally, spiritually, financially, and I help my clients with contribution. So finding their purpose, finding their own version of contribution, and actually changing to a new job, creating a side hustle, setting up a business, doing something that allows them to have a bigger contribution. So those are the 2 needs that I support my clients with. And it was beautiful to see his framework and how my services fit inside of that framework. So that was cool. And then he talks about how you can create long-lasting change in your life. And basically, in order to create long-lasting change in your life, you need 3 beliefs. The first belief is this must change now. This must change. It's not I want to, maybe one day. This must change now. The second one is I must change now, and I can change now. So until the person gets to that point of I must change now, this must change now, I can change now, I must change now, until the person gets into that point, you're doing some things, but you're not necessarily creating deep, long-lasting transformation. So once the person is at this point, there's 3 steps to create long-lasting change. First, to get leverage. What is get leverage? It's basically show the person that if they don't change, there's going to be unbearable pain. So you need to take the person to a place where they actually realize, you know what, if I don't change, this is going to bring some serious consequence, a lot of suffering for me, for my family, etc. And when people realize that, they think, okay, this must change now. I must change now. I can't change now. So that begins the transformation, and that makes it long lasting. Imagine a person who's smoking. Imagine a person who's obese. Then these people need to get to a point where they say, this must change now. I must stop smoking. I must stop eating the way I'm eating and doing this lifestyle that I'm doing right now. So first, the person needs to realize that if they don't change, there's going to be a lot of pain. Second, you need to interrupt the pattern. Whatever they've been doing up until now, you want to interrupt the pattern of the person and create a new pattern. Then he shares that when you want to master something, for example, imagine you want to learn a new language or you want to get good at a new sport. We usually go and take classes, like a little class and then another class and then another class and then another class. Basically, what he says is, no, you need to find someone who's the best at it. You need to find someone who's done what you want to do. Then you do a total immersion with that person for a certain period of time, total immersion into their world, into how they do it, etc. And then you do spaced repetition. So basically, for example, imagine you want to find your purpose. So first you find someone who's already done it. In this case, me. Then you do total immersion. So for 4 months, we dive into this topic, we find your purpose, we dive into who you are, we dream what you want, etc., etc. And then spaced repetition. We keep, for example, a monthly coaching session so that you keep track of what we've done in that total immersion. And I think this is actually pretty cool because, for example, when I wanted to learn English, I wanted to learn French specifically, I took 3 months of classes every single day of the week for 4 months, I think, to be able to speak French in an interview. So I went all in, total immersion kind of thing. And then I did some classes here and there through spaced repetition. So it does make sense. I liked this approach. And then the last message that he shares, and I'm going to close this chapter, this episode with this one, is the idea that proximity is power. What is proximity? Proximity is having people around you who are further along the journey than you are. So, for example, if you want to become a millionaire, you need to be friends with people who are already millionaires. If you want to become, a director in your work, you need to be around people who are already directors. So you need to hang out with people who are expanders for you, who already have the things that you want. Because basically, your life is a direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group. If you have a peer group that expects you to act in a certain way, to act like a millionaire, to act like a director, then those expectations are going to shape your behavior, are going to shape your questions, are going to shape who you are and who you become. So it is super important to choose your peers. We don't choose our family, but we choose our peers. So choose your peers carefully. Who are your peers? Is the people that you actually care about what they think. So choose carefully those groups where you put yourself, where you invest your time and your energy. Choose people who are expanders for you, who are further down the line into what you want, so that their expectations can shape your behavior, your questions, your identity, etc. And he also says, don't be afraid to leave behind the people who have chosen to stay behind. And this one hurts But sometimes some people, some friends, some peers decide to stay behind. So if you want to achieve, don't be afraid to leave those people behind and actually find groups of peers that are really aligned, not with your past, but with your future. So that's it. Basically, that's what I wanted to share about Tony Robbins. Of course, there's a lot more content, a lot more wisdom, a lot more things that I wanted to share, but I want to keep this around the half-hour mark, more or less, so that it's easy for you to digest and implement. So let me share quickly what we've talked today. We've talked about the idea of an emotional home. So you can start already thinking, where is your emotional home? The idea that an extraordinary life is a life on your own terms. The 6 needs. So you can already start thinking, which are my needs actually? The fact that when you want to master something, you need to find a person who's done it. You need to do a total immersion with them and then do spaced repetition. And we've talked about this idea that proximity is power. And you want to choose your peers carefully. You want to choose peers who are further down the line and let those expectations have an impact on you. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I will see you next week for our next episode. And in the meantime, in Blisstopia we trust.